To the US now, and in a tragedy of deeply devastating scale, the death toll from the Texas flash flooding has now surpassed 100, including 28 children. Sky News Australia contributor Kristin Tate joined us earlier from Boston, telling me President Trump is expected to make his way to Texas.
Yeah, he's going to be seeing the damage there and helping the people on the ground. And I have to say, these Texas floods hit hard for me personally. I spent over a decade as a proud Texas resident, and I currently have family living in Texas, including my brother. We've seen many people die in these horrific floods, including children at a girls' camp. Of course, Texas is prone to these crazy weather anomalies. When I was living there a few years ago, we got in Houston an ice storm that knocked all the power out in our house for days on end. They are prone to these kinds of things, flash floods like what happened here. This was just a totally unpredictable freak weather event. So Trump is going to go there to help the people on the ground. The administration is fully activated. But of course, the Democrats in the United States right now are using this tragedy to blame Donald Trump and express their glee over the pain that people are feeling and to try to just score political points. It's really disgusting.
How are these floods being politicized by the anti-Trump left?
Well, they're trying to blame Doge, Elon Musk's effort to cut government funding. However, the National Weather Service did issue many alerts leading up to these floods, including, flash flood warnings. Unfortunately, some of those were sent overnight. However, the National Weather Service did do its job in this case. They're also saying that Trump has said in the past that he wants local authorities to have more control over how they respond to weather events because people on the ground tend to have a better idea for the geography and the people living there. That is true. However, it's still the case that in this tragic event, the National Weather Service did do its job. This is just one of those things that it happened so fast. It was unpredictable up until a very short time before the floods happened. And it's really just disgusting to try to politicize this. I also want to say, Caroline, when Biden was in office and we had weather events, they would always blame the local authorities, never President Biden. If you look back at the tragedy, the fires in California that happened right before Trump was inaugurated, nobody on the left wanted to blame Gavin Newsom, or I'm sorry, nobody wanted to blame Biden for that. They all looked at the state officials. But now that a Republican is in power, that's all reversed.
Pretty reprehensible double standards. To Elon Musk now, he wants to form a third political party. Trump has called that ridiculous. How is Musk's idea being received by Americans?
There's not a whole lot of hype around this idea, honestly, because the very announcement of the idea is off-putting to Trump's entire base, who will remain loyal to Trump no matter what. And leftists, they've already decided that they can't stand Elon, so they're not going to join his movement either. I've always thought Elon would be much better suited to try to influence the GOP from inside the party. In fact, I wrote for Sky News that these two men, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, really need to bury the hatchet for the good of the party and the country. They both bring something unique to the Republican Party, and it's a real shame that they have ended up in this spat. It really threatens to fracture the GOP. But right now, what we're seeing with this announcement from Musk is the strength of Trump's support in relation to Musk's. You have, some people who are online, the very online young people who love Elon Musk. Some of those people would probably support a third party, but by and large, most Republicans are sticking with Trump.
It doesn't sound like too much of a threat. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris's message to Democrat governors after last year's train wreck Biden-Trump debate, which was just gaffe upon gaffe, has been revealed. What did she tell them?
Well, she essentially she told all of the people who were doubting Biden that they needed to line up and support President Biden because democracy was at risk. And she used some foul language in that statement as well in order to defend Biden. But look, at the time, everybody knew the Biden campaign was in free fall. Many people were starting to realize he would not be the nominee, and that includes Kamala Harris. She had to show her loyalty in that moment. But of course, she was glad that Biden was failing because she knew she would be the one to step in. And that's exactly what happened. But she had to appear loyal. So after that debate, she was telling everyone, you need to support Biden to defend our democracy. It's literally about democracy being on the line. It was all a lie. She was very excited at his debate performance because she was the one who benefited from it.